Next stop, Utah. Now, my first stop is actually here in Salt Lake City. Now, we're going to go visit a family of 4 who are getting ready to buy their first home computer. Now, I'm going to visit with the various members of the family, mom, dad, and the 2 kids, find out exactly what they're going to use that computer for, find out about how much money they have to spend, and then I'm going to actually go to the computer store shopping for them. Now, we're also going to head south of Salt Lake City down to Provo, Utah, to visit the BYU football team and see how the athletic department's using computers. We're going to run down to Orem, Utah, again south of here, where we're going to visit with the folks at WordPerfect Corporation, where they have been working on the latest release of their very popular WordPerfect word processing software. Now, they claim this is the easiest, best word processing software ever. So we're going to go down, grab a box, take it back to the office, fire it up, take a look for ourselves. Now, what if you took a picture of these flowers and you wanted to scan it into your computer to use it in some desktop publishing program, maybe you wanted to create an attractive screensaver? Well, you need a scanner. And so today we're going to take a look at flatbed scanners in our introduction to scanning. Now, we got software galore this show, software and CD titles. We've got software to help you plan a wedding, even a dock-in-the-box program. So we've got a bunch of software and a whole lot more on this edition of The Computer Man. Now, tell me a little bit about your work, because we need to get you on a computer, because you're starting to do, in your private practice, you're a psychologist, correct? What would you use the computer for? Is it correspondence? Is it primarily messaging back and forth with people? What would you do?
I think what we're looking at is beginning to network between the different providers. So for communications, tracking patients, maybe doing some billing, and also for our documentation.
So you're going to do word processing, maybe some email. You talk about second touch, some correspondence. Now, you're a court reporter. So you probably do a lot of word processing, don't you?
Oh, yes. Using our own software that is for court reporters.
Okay. So
however, I do use WordPerfect sometimes too, just because it interfaces.
Okay. So you don't use off the shelf. You've got some special court reporting software that does the translation. Now, what would you use the computer for at home? Would it be bringing work home?
Sometimes bringing work home. I'd like to play on it more at home,
really?
and have more fun projects that I can do. I'd like to do correspondence, personal correspondence, maybe keep a personal diary on it that I can access easily, or any creative writing that I would want to do if I had time.
Right.
I was also looking at the different kitchen programs. I've seen some
you like the recipe
cook
stuff?
programs,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, now there's some great stuff, especially on CD-ROM. If you look at the CD-ROM titles that are out there today, they've got great stuff. I mean, Betty Crocker cookbooks, 90s style. You guys have to use it because it's a business tool. It's a chance for you to do more things around the house. But it's a great tool for her and a wonderful tool for him that, quite frankly, they can't really afford to be without more.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, give me a budget. Ballpark, just give me a ceiling, because it'll help me. I know some software and some titles and things that I think will be best for you. And I know basically what kind of system and what kind of laser printer I'd like to buy, but it's somewhat determined by the budget you give me.
I'm thinking about $1,800, $2,000, somewhere in that price range.
Yeah, I'd say up to $2,500.
Oh, okay, so I got
Up to $2,500?
Yeah.
If you give me $25, I can get a laser printer, a Pentium system, CD-ROM drive, and enough software to get you started, and a couple other pieces I think that'll really get you hooked, if you will.
Well, if the business gets more productive, we can afford it.
Okay. All right.
That's right.
I'll go with that.
Now, based on Scott and Jenny's budget, I wanted to put together 2 different options for them, depending on exactly how much it is that they want to spend. Now, first of all, I want to start with this IBM system. Now, this is the new Aptiva, and this is a great entry-level system for around the house. Let me tell you why I like this. First of all, it comes with a single disk drive, but it also has a double-spin CD-ROM. And we talked earlier about how important it was going to be for the family to have a CD-ROM drive. It's really an imperative. Now, this particular system is a 48650 megahertz system. Now, this is really all the speed that they're going to need for around the house today. It comes with 4 megabytes of RAM, so it's got plenty of memory. I usually like to have 8, but 4 should be sufficient. It's also got a 360 megabyte hard drive, so there's plenty of room to store other programs. It's also got a built-in fax modem, so you can send and receive faxes, and you can go online. Now, the modem itself is a 2400 baud, which is not quite as fast as some of the new modems out on the market today. That's the only thing that I find limiting about this particular system. One other good point, though, it comes preloaded with a lot of great software. America Online and Prodigy. It's got some Quicken. It's got all kinds of great things for you to get started around the house. And this particular system comes in around $1,700 with the monitor. But now, we talked a lot about the ability to have a Pentium system, to have the latest and the greatest technology. And that's why I'm going to also recommend this compact Presario. Now, this is not a Pentium system. It's a 66 megahertz system, which means it's a little bit more robust, significantly faster than the other system, the IBM that we looked at. But it has the ability to be upgraded to a Pentium, or what's like a 586 system, the next technology, at a later date. So what you're buying here is really a lot of insurance. Should your needs grow to a point that you want to go with the latest and greatest technology, snap out the old chip, snap in the new chip, and you've got a Pentium system without buying a whole new box. Now, this compact Presario, as I mentioned, is a 66 megahertz 486 system, so it's very, very fast. It also has a double spin CD-ROM drive, but it's got 8 megabytes of onboard memory, so it runs these heavy graphic programs with lots of colors and pictures faster than 4 megabytes of memory. In addition, it's got a faster fax modem. It's got a 14.4, which is significantly faster than the IBM's fax modem. But now with the monitor and all, you're going to spend a little bit more money. Monitor with the system is going to come in around, about $1,900. So you're talking about a good $300-400 difference over the IBM system. But we're going to give them the option of the two. Now, with a couple of systems in place, let's go look at printers. Now, we're in the laser printer section because it was important for Scott to have laser quality. Like you see here, you can see how fine the print is. Obviously, you can do really nice correspondence, and Scott talked a lot about doing proposals and things for his clients. Well, based on their budget, we need to get laser quality output, but we don't necessarily have to spend all the money to get a laser printer. And so I want to give you two options. Now, first of all, here's a Canon bubble jet printer. This is the BJ200E. Now, this will give you the same high quality that you get with a laser printer, but for significantly less money. Now, what you sacrifice is you sacrifice speed. This won't print nearly as fast as a laser printer, but for around the house and an occasional correspondence, this is probably going to be all they need. Now, Scott had mentioned that he really wanted a full laser printer, so I want to give him an option. Now, this is the NEC Silent Writer Superscript 610. Now, this particular laser printer prints in about the same DPI, or dots per inch, which is the quality of the printing, as the bubble jet we looked at. The only real difference, as far as Scott is concerned, is going to be speed. Now, this laser printer will print 6 pages per minute, whereas that Canon bubble jet we looked at only prints 1 page per minute. So Scott really wanted to do a lot of heavy-duty correspondence, needed to maybe ramp up his home office and be doing a lot of printing. He may want to go with a laser. Now, this model is only $500, so it's $250 more. I simply want to look at it as an option. But again, there's no quality difference. Now, let's get to the software. Now, every member of the family had some real specific software needs based on what it was they wanted to use a computer for. Now, first of all, I picked a package by Microsoft called Works. Now, Microsoft Works has got a database, it's got a spreadsheet, but most importantly, it's also got a word processor. And since Scott was going to be doing a lot of correspondence, and as was Jenny, I think Microsoft Works is a great around-the-house integrated package for all those things. Now, in addition, Scott mentioned about going online, and I picked both America Online and Prodigy since these are really the two most popular online services. A lot of great things that every member of the family can do with both of these services. Now, I went ahead and picked out another package for them that I think they might grow into, and it's Quicken. Now, Quicken is a personal finance package that lets you stay on top of your checkbook and paying your bills, etc. And I think Jenny in particular may enjoy Quicken. Now, one of the great things about these 4 packages that I just showed you is that all 4 of these come preloaded at no extra charge on both the compact machine and the IBM machine. So we've got all 4 of these programs without spending a dime on software. Now, Tommy, who happened to be a big fan of Peter Pan, will probably enjoy this Peter Pan paint game. And I think this would be a great product to get him playing around on the computer and get him involved since he's such a big fan of Peter Pan. Now, you may remember Maggie talked about wanting to learn how to type. Well, Mavis Beacon's Teaches Typing is a great software package for kids or adults to learn the keyboard and learn how to type better. So I got this for Maggie. Now, in addition for Maggie, I picked Microsoft Encarta. Now, this is a multimedia CD title, and since she's now in 5th grade, I think as a reference material, this may be a wonderful product for her. Now, this is a CD-ROM. Now, this does not come preloaded on the IBM, but it does come free with the compact. So we'll set that one aside. Last but not least, again for Scott, I picked Microsoft Golf because I happen to know that he's a golf fan, and this is a great game. And every once in a while, even Dad needs to relax a little bit. Now, if you total up all of the software and the printers and the systems on the 2 different budgets, we've got 2 different options for the family. Now, with the compact machine, all that you see here comes in for around $2,500. With the IBM system, about $2,100. So again, most of it is back to the system and back to the printer. You're going to pay a little bit more for the higher end performance of the compact system and for the higher speed of the laser printer. But this way, you've got two different options to choose from. Jenny, I didn't forget about you. I promised you some cooking and recipe titles. I found you two. One is from Betty Crocker. It's got like 500 healthy recipes, and the other is from Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Two of these together, under $50, add them to the total. Well, listen, if you like this shopping piece, stay tuned because over the coming weeks, we're going to do a lot more of this. We're going to work with different budgets. We're going to work with families, small businesses, home offices, whatever your situation, we'll get some information to you. So, stay tuned. I want to talk to you for a moment about scanning. Now, these are flatbed scanners, and they're called flatbed scanners because they have a flat bed on which you place documents to scan. Now, scanning is used for copying text or images, taking them from things like a brochure here on rafting, putting it inside the scanner. You can now lift that image and import it into your computer. Now, maybe you're designing an invitation. Maybe you're going to put together a rafting trip, and I saw this picture on a brochure, and I wanted to put it into an invitation that I was creating. Maybe I wanted to take a picture of my son and put it into an invitation for his birthday party. Obviously, there's a lot of business uses for scanners as well. Now, people are scanning in pictures and images to create things like brochures or sales materials, any kind of design work for letterhead, stationery, etc. So scanner serves a lot of purposes. In addition, a lot of people use scanners to scan in text and other documents so that they can inventory them digitally as opposed to keeping files and files of paper. Now, here's two models in particular that I'm fond of. This first one is from Canon. It's called the IX4015. Now, this is a color flatbed scanner. You can find it at most of your retail stores. It's become pretty popular, and it's a great value. Now, this is a 400 by 800 DPI scanner, which are dots per inch. And just like when you're looking at printers, dots per inch determine how good a quality of image you can scan in. So this is a great model, particularly for around the house and for light business applications. Now, here's another model. This one is from Envisions, and they're a mail order house. You can't find them in stores, but you can find them through the PC magazines and whatnot. And they've got really an outstanding value for the DPI. This is a much higher end machine. This is their NV24 Pro, and this thing is like 1600 DPI. So if you're like a graphic artist, professional, or somebody that needs really high resolution scans, the Envisions is a good model for you. Now, next time we're going to take a look at some scanning software that will let you do a lot of things, including a technology called OCR, or optical character recognition. And in addition, we're going to look at hand scanners, because there is an alternative to flatbeds. It's called hand scanners, and we'll check those out next time. Oh yeah, now one other thing, while we're on the topic of scanning, there's this new product out called ComScan, this little box that you see here, which you actually plug your fax machine into, and it turns your fax machine into a scanner. Now, this is pretty cool. Now, you know how most fax machines have a copy function, where you can put a piece of paper in, press copy, and it actually makes you a copy on that flimsy fax paper. We can go through the same process and actually scan a piece of paper into your computer by converting it with this ComScan box. It's a low-cost alternative if you want to do some light scanning but don't want to buy an expensive flatbed. You might want to check this out. So if you're looking to scan, check out this new little thing, the ComScan box. My friend Dr. Schuler has got the latest release out of his Dr. Schuler's Home Medical Advisor CD-ROM. Now check this out. You notice here Dr. Schuler's incorporated into this dock in the box a lot of those commonly asked medical questions and information that you and your family may need around the house. First of all, it's got a symptoms file where you can go in and tell Dr. Schuler exactly what kind of problems you're having, and it'll help you diagnose what might be your ailment. Now, in addition to that, there's a full disease file. Let's say you want to get information on a wide variety of diseases. They've got color photos, even some movie clips of surgery and other things, should you be that interested in getting into the fine art of surgery. But now, in addition to that, there's some real practical applications built into Dr. Schuler, like a poison file. You know, there's a lot of different poisons and a lot of different emergency remedies that you might need to apply on the spot. And this could be especially important to you if you have kids around the house. Now, in addition to that, there's a prescription drug file that has information on over 2,400 different prescription drugs if you need to get info in that area. And in addition to that, you can even get nutritional information, chart your family's medical history, and a whole lot more. So if you're looking for a doc in the box as an addendum to your first aid kit, take a look at this CD. It's Dr. Schuler's Home Medical Advisor. You know, if you're planning a wedding of your own, there's a new software package out from the folks at Virgin Games and Modern Bride magazine called Modern Bride. Now, this is actually at Temple Square here in the heart of Salt Lake City. Now, if you have a big wedding, or even if you have a small wedding, there's a lot of things that you've got to plan. Well, let me show you how this software helps you. It tracks everything from guests, RSVPs, invitations sent, and then when you get gifts, all the thank you notes that you have to send back out. All the information that goes into managing a wedding, they've got in this one very easy to use Windows-based software package. Now they've got it in DOS as well, but now in addition to tracking guest lists and RSVPs, they've got etiquette tips. They've got music selections that they'll make suggestions for. They've even got a built-in spreadsheet to track your budget on your wedding. So if you were a bride-to-be, a mother, or even a mother-in-law helping out on the wedding, take a look at this modern bride software, because if you're planning a wedding, this can be a great tool to make this process a lot less stressful.
Here at Brigham Young University, we use computers in what we feel is an innovative way in our football program.
Lemon straight back to throw this time. Steps up.
We also use computers to break down our game tapes on a play-by-play basis. We want to see specifically what a team's doing on a first down, a second down, a down and distance. The computer helps us do a lot of things in that respect, as far as scouting reports, getting video for kids to look at. And so we feel really fortunate, that technology has given us these great tools to use. The computer gives us that edge that we're looking for, sometimes to help an opponent. If we know that an opponent's going to run the ball more than it's going to pass the ball, we're going to have our defensive guys keyed up to look for the run more than the pass. If we know that a team's going to blitz a lot and come after us with a lot of blitzes, we've put those plays into the computer. It tells us that they're going to run 50 blitzes against us. Our offensive linemen know, and our coaches know, that they're going to have to do a lot to protect the quarterback that week. It's really been a big time saver for us and allowed us to see just the specific things we want to look at.
We'll be right back. Now, as I promised you for our business software section this week, we're going to take a look at the new WordPerfect for Windows version 6.1. Now, in addition to that, over the next few weeks, we're also going to look at the other top-selling word processing packages, Lotus's AMI Pro and Microsoft Word. Now, WordPerfect for Windows 6.1 is the latest release, and there's some pretty neat things that they've built into it that I want to show you. First of all, let me show you this. This is what I think is an absolutely dynamite feature. Now, you notice as I'm typing, that Quick Correct, which is what the feature is called, is actually correcting my spelling mistakes on the fly. Now, it'll also correct problems like leaving additional spaces in between letters, or if you forget to capitalize something, it'll go back and correct that as you type. So you don't have to go back after the fact and do a spell check, which is a great time saver. Now, they've built in another feature called Experts, and the ones I want to show you here are called Template and Document Experts. Now, these are the most commonly used documents like expense reports. In front of me here, I've got a newsletter template that allows you to create these things at a click of a button without, again, having to start from scratch. You can tell as I'm going through here, there's a real emphasis, it seems, on ease of use and helping you start a lot of things that normally you have to do from scratch that you can do at the click of a button. Now, here's another thing that I kind of like. It's called Drop Cap, and you're starting to see this a lot in documents and in newsletters and things. And it's an easy way to grab attention. It kind of dresses up or jazzes up a document. And again, you can use the Drop Cap function at the click of a button as well. Now, back to Experts. Here's another one that I think a lot of you may find helpful. It's called a Table Expert. And basically, it's like having a mini spreadsheet built into your word processor. If you've ever tried to format a table in a word processor, it's rather time-consuming. And these are pre-created table styles that perform, I think, up to like 100 different spreadsheet functions, like calculating a loan payment or even tracking an expense account. These are some of the kind of spreadsheet functions that a lot of times you'll perform and need to export to a word processor, so they've built all that functionality right in. Now, another thing that they've got in WordPerfect that I love are the coaches. Now, they've had these in previous releases, but they've really enhanced the coaches for the latest release. Now, these coaches will walk you through things like, like doing a mail merge or creating a watermark. The coaches don't only introduce you to certain features and functions, but they actually give you step-by-step instructions on how to do certain things. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I usually don't get past the most basic functions within my word processor primarily because I've never had anybody show me how to do it, and that's precisely what the coaches do and why I like them so much. Now, in addition, I like to try to test the customer service lines, and I called WordPerfect, which, by the way, is free of charge. They've got a 1-800 service, which very few software companies have. I like that a lot, and also the people were very helpful. On your screen. Not only will I try to get back to you, but we'll try to satisfy your request and see if we can get those products worked